Yeah, but you already know top of the top and it won't stop. You dig? So I basically have been observing just the climate in terms of music. It's a really good time. And I'm not even talking about radio. Radio has been dead and gone years ago. With the exception, to college radio and independent radio, keep doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? We need you. But as far as commercial radio, yeah, stick a fork in it. But in the real world, I'm seeing a lot of new musicians that are out there, and they're embracing jazz and blues, and they're taking risk. And let me just give you this tidbit of advice in terms of production. And I'm speaking from personal experience. When you're making records and production and so forth, and this really goes out to my producers, my up-and-coming producers. Your best material is going to come during a time of adversity. Okay? It gives you time to develop. Say, for instance, you're going through a bad breakup, or you're not in a relationship at all, right? That's freedom, man. Okay? That's peace and freedom, because you get to start from a clean palette, right? And if you're, let's just say you're, new in terms of just production, in the production world, you may come out with the one, but it's not even about that. It's about developing your ear first before developing your sound. This goes for a lot of newbie DJs and some of you old ones too that just haven't really picked it up. I ain't gonna beat up on y'all today. But some of you guys, or just DJs in general, you've been at it for a while, but you just don't have that ear, and people get caught up and I want to sound like this and I want to sound like that, but you never developed your own voice. You never developed your own ear. You got to go through that phase of developing your ear first. Within that, you're going to have an identity, because what will happen is you're basically going to end up copying who you listen to and who you admire. But back to the idea of as a beginner, as entering production or just music in general, your best material, again, is when you're not in a relationship, and you're not, I gotta put it, you're not bogged down with anything. It's just you. I remember the early days, when I was a young college student digging through records that many of you now are posting online as like holy grails. Fascinating times. But yeah, I was there before they were holy grails. Nobody really knew about them. Now they're like, we call them wall records. You got to go on the wall to pick them up. For me, that was like lying around my house, like easily, like multiple copies. Many of them I still have to this day. So it's very fascinating watching that. But even within that, in my early years, going back to the late 80s even, I was developing my ear in production then. Just going through records, digesting the records. Another thing for beat makers, I want to give you a suggestion. Don't just sample the material. Digest the music. Listen to the production. Listen to the detail, because that's actually giving you free game and you don't even realize it. You got to come in hungry. You got to come in with an empty palate. Now, here's the thing: if you're going through a bad relationship, because I always tell people, if you're hustling, whatever you're doing, you're on your grind, you don't need to be in no relationship. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be bogged down with foolishness and arguing and, and going all that back. Nah, first of all, I don't argue with nobody. I just cut you off and leave. Keep it moving. I don't argue with nobody. My way or the highway. You dig. So, anyhow, you got to have a clean palate. But on the flip side, if you're going through something, I always tell people the greatest records came from people who went through something. You don't know yourself until you go through something and you've been through struggle. A lot of the stuff you hear today in terms of commercial, it's very lackluster. It's just horrible. It has no storyline. It has no struggle. Listen to great records, you know what I mean? Like all the Otis Redding records, all the James Brown records, you could hear the pain and the struggle in them songs, and that's why people identified with those records and hold those records very near and dear. I know I still do to this day. You know what that's called? That's called the blues. That's another topic for another day. But yeah, you gotta go through something. We're still talking about Marvin Gaye here, my dear. Okay, and many of his other masterpieces. But that particular album was very unique because he was going through something. He was going through, a painful process, and he poured it into his music. Never mind the business aspect of it. We're looking at the output. I respect results. Okay, the result of that album is one of his most brilliant albums of all times, and it's one of his most sought after albums as a result. So my point is that in order to find your ear, you got to go through something, and have that clean slate in order to have your best productions and your best recordings. And that's my take on it, and I stand on it.